But at WrestleMania 20, you faced Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title.
God bless Eddie.
And he beat Brock for the title the month before. I mean, that WrestleMania match is quite an underrated match. You know, it's not talked about enough. How did you kind of find out you were going to work with him? What are your memories of doing that WrestleMania match with him?
Well, I was so excited to work with Eddie at WrestleMania, especially him being world champion. And I knew at that time that there was no way in hell Vince McMahon was going to take that title from Eddie. So I knew I wasn't going to win, but I was all for being at WrestleMania 20, main eventing with Eddie Guerrero, well, co-main eventing. We weren't exactly the last match, but we were considered a co-main event. But I remember when Eddie, he came up to me a week before. He said, "Hey, I have a great finish for the match." And I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, I want you to get me in the ankle lock. And when you do that, I am going to kick you off. And when you take a bump, I'm going to grab my shoe and start untying it to loosen it up. And then you're going to reapply the ankle lock, and I'm going to slide my ankle out of it. And then you're going to charge me. I'm going to roll you up and grab the ropes to get the 1, 2, 3. And I said, "Wow, you've been thinking about this for a while, haven't you?" I said, "How do you know you're going to win, Eddie?" He said, "I'm just guessing I'm going to win." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you know what? This is a brilliant finish because it goes with your lie, cheat, and steal gimmick because you're cheating to win, and it protects me because, you know, I'm losing by you cheating. So I absolutely love the idea." And we pulled it off. I mean, I thought that finish, a lot of people say the match was great, but the finish was, okay. I thought the finish was awesome. I don't know how you feel. Yeah. I thought it was a brilliant finish, especially with Eddie Guerrero. It fit him perfectly.
Eddie was part of the SmackDown 6 with you as well. How important was Eddie to your career in that couple of years? Because you did kind of end up going back to him a few times.
Yeah, you know, the SmackDown 6 was a special group. And, you know, at the time, SmackDown was always the second show. Raw was always the flagship show. And it got to the point that nobody wanted to be on SmackDown. So we all got together, you know, the 6 of us, and we said, "Listen, we need to change the around here. We gotta make this the #1 show." And that's what we did. You know, we had incredible matches. The cool thing about SmackDown compared to Raw was more of a storyline-driven show. SmackDown was more action, more wrestling. And that's what we took pride in. That's when the SmackDown 6 came in and decided we're going to dominate this show and we are going to beat Raw in ratings. And we eventually did. And I thought, you know, you have Eddie Guerrero, you have Edge, you have, I think, Brock Lesnar, myself, Rey Mysterio. No, Brock wasn't it. Rey Mysterio.
Benoit. Chavo, yeah. Eddie.
Chavo, Eddie, Edge, and Rey, right? Yeah, it was a very special group. And, you know, every single one of those guys will be in the Hall of Fame if they're not already.
I mean, in terms of, because SmackDown used to be taped on Tuesdays, Raw's live on Mondays. Was the atmosphere any different at SmackDown because it was a taped show and because, like you say, Raw's somehow always seen as the A show?
Well, that's the only thing I didn't like about SmackDown, but you had protection because if you messed up, you could just do it over again. And I didn't like having that safety net. I always felt like I just want to get it done one time, and whatever happens, happens. But, you know, when you're on SmackDown for too long, you start taking advantage of it, and you say, "You know what, I a little bit on that spot, so can you?" You're in the match. You're wrestling the match. If you mess up a little bit on a spot, you just stop and you do it over again. And the truck knows why you did it over again because you messed up on the first spot. But after a while, people were doing it so much that Vince was getting mad. Like, this is crazy. Everybody's calling spots over and over again. We need to change this. And that's when Vince decided to put a stipulation, is what he called it. And that's, we have to treat SmackDown like it's a live show. No more do it over again. So eventually we didn't have that safety net anymore.